Yes, it's a much-used word, historic, but many of the people attending this peace signing, this ceasefire signing ceremony here, describe this as an historic occasion. As you mentioned, Elaine, this bloody conflict has been going on for more than 50 years. The Colombian government and the FARC rebels began these peace negotiations behind closed doors here in Havana back in November 2012. It hasn't been easy, but it does look as if the fighting is coming to an end.
Colombia's president, Juan Manuel Santos, came to Cuba, he said, to silence the guns forever.
Que este sea el último día de la guerra.
Let this be the last day of the war, was how the FARC rebels' commander-in-chief, Timoleon Jimenez, described the ceasefire ceremony. After 3.5 years of tough negotiations in Havana, the Colombian government and leftist FARC rebels signed a bilateral ceasefire, along with detailed agreements on how the rebels will lay down their arms, demobilize and return to civilian life.
Today is a historic day for our country. After over 50 years of conflict, death, and pain, we have brought to an end the armed conflict with the FARC.
The United Nations will send observers to help oversee the demobilization, and the UN Secretary-General, Ban Ki-moon, along with several Latin American presidents, attended the ceremony.
The Colombian peace process validates the perseverance of all those around the world who work to end violent conflict, not through the destruction of the adversary, but through the patient search for compromise.
Colombia's 50-year-long civil war started as a peasant revolt demanding land reform. It ended up killing more than 220,000 people and displacing millions more. At its peak, FARC had some 17,000 fighters, financed in part by kidnappings and its links to the drugs trade. But US-backed counterinsurgency and anti-narcotics campaigns took their toll. Once before, FARC tried to enter political life, but many of its members were murdered by right-wing paramilitary death squads. Thursday's agreement commits the government to guaranteeing their safety this time.
The signing of this accord is our country's best opportunity to move towards social justice and progress on the basis that the doors of true democracy will be open, so that social and political opposition movements enjoy full guarantees.
This is also a major achievement for Cuba's President Raul Castro, who helped initiate and then host the peace negotiations. After decades of supporting armed struggle, Cuba is now using its influence for peace and reconciliation.
The two sides are now negotiating a final peace treaty that will be signed at some point in Colombia. It then goes to a referendum for approval of the Colombian people. At that point, the FARC say they will start laying down their arms and return to civilian life. Elaine.
So, Michael, just to make sure, does this ceasefire take effect right away?
Officially, it will not take effect until they've signed the final peace treaty. However, the fighting has, in reality, ceased quite some time ago now. So although officially this ceasefire, this bilateral ceasefire, is not yet in effect, the fighting has in effect stopped.
All right, CCTV's Michael Voss live for us in Havana. In Colombia, jubilation and celebrations mark the news of that ceasefire. The citizens of Bogota were out in force following that announcement. CCTV's Michelle Begay joins us live from Bogota. And Michelle, you were there among the crowds after the signing ceremony. Describe what that was like.
Yes, Elaine, a lot of emotion. Definitely there are people who are for and against this peace process. In Colombia's Bogota Center, where we saw big TV screens that were broadcasting everything that was happening in Havana live, many of the people that were there were in favor of this peace process. And we got some of those reactions on camera. Let's take a look.
Hoy tengo profunda emoción. Today, I am profoundly happy. I'm 65 years old, and I never heard a single word regarding the political decision for peace. I'm very, very happy, and I would like to think that the ELN will also take part because Colombia deserves a more just country and a country in peace.
I am having a very difficult time controlling myself because I have been waiting for this moment practically my entire life.
It was very emotional being there. You saw a lot of people who were crying, tears of joy, a lot of people embracing during the moment that President Santos met with Timochenko, and it was broadcast live. We spoke to a woman who says she was a direct victim of the armed conflict, as many of the people that were there were as well. But she was explaining, for example, her grandfather was killed by leftist guerrillas. Her mother was a leftist guerrilla who was tortured by the Colombian government. So she said, I am a victim of the Colombian government. I am a victim of these leftist guerrillas, and I no longer want any more hate in me. I want to move forward. I want to forgive. And that was the sentiment that we got from the people who were watching this, is that they want to forget, they want to build a new country in peace. Obviously, there are skeptics, and some of them voiced it a little bit around the TV screen, that they really hope that this will be the start of a new peace. However, as Michael, my colleague, said from Havana, there's still a little ways to go. This is just the announcement of a bilateral ceasefire. The peace process hasn't ended yet, but you did get a sense that there's no turning back, that people felt that this is the last stretch of this peace negotiation.
Despite all that, Michelle, though, there are still a lot of people there in Colombia who have been against this peace process. They aren't as happy as some of the people you showed in your piece. What are they saying?
Well, the leader of the opposition, the former president, Álvaro Uribe Vélez, who led a really strong front against the FARC for the 8 years that he was president, he's been voicing his opposition to this, and he posted a video on his Twitter account where he repeatedly used the words that quote, the word peace has been wounded. And what he was trying to say, and he explained, quote, is that the acceptance that those who are responsible for human rights violations such as kidnapping, car bombs, child recruitment, and the rape of girls will not have to pay a single day of jail time and can be elected into public office. End quote. This is what we've been hearing a lot from the opposition, is that they want to see the FARC members pay for their crimes with actual jail time. And a lot of people say, I am in favor of peace. I don't want these two warring sides to continue, but I do want to see more done against the FARC and not give them so many rights right off the bat, as they say, during this peace process. And that is what the opposition is saying. We will probably continue to hear this as the peace negotiations wind down, and they may even start marching against the peace talks in future weeks or days, but we will be bringing you all those reactions as they come.